Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome Construction World. Chris James from Oryx Consulting here with you for another Oryx Talks. This week we're back with our offsider, Lindsay.bowe. Welcome.
Thank you.
Look, the video that we did last week on OryxCare, which is Lindsay's pet project, is something that was really well received. There's, I think we've had over 200 views thereabouts in 1 week on YouTube, which for us is absolutely fantastic. So we wanted to move past that. Lindsay dropped an article during the week just explaining it as well for those that like the written format a little bit better. So without further ado, let's get into this week's Oryx Talk with Lindsay.bowe from OryxCare.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back, guys. So this week I wanted to do something a little bit different, which really touches to the people. Once again, that's what we're all about here at Oryx Consulting and OryxCare. Lindsay doesn't know what I'm going to talk about here, but what I wanted to give this week was a little bit of a personal experience from myself, and I want you guys to understand what I see in Lindsay and what Lindsay's real talent is, and how she can help you guys through some of your own probably personal problems or tough times, whatever you like to call it, out on some of these job sites that we do. So this week is one of my personal experiences, and when I was young and first on my pipeline projects in remote construction, some of the things that I had difficulties with, and I didn't quite understand at the time that they were my own difficulties. So without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the problems that I always had was going from a workshop environment where everything was known to me. So from my friends, what I did on the weekends and all those kinds of things, thrown into a 250 to 300 man camp where I knew no one, absolutely no one. And then going from, I'm going to say, money that I was just able to meet the bills with. Okay, so that's all I could do. There was no, you could go out for one little excursion if you wanted to every second weekend or something like that. So going from that, where you had freedoms once you left work, to all of a sudden being thrown into an environment where you were controlled the whole time that you were on site, and there was no popping out for the weekend, there was no days off, it was 7 days a week, but you had an exorbitant amount of money. Okay, so in those days it was an unbelievable amount of money. You couldn't even spend the amount of money that you made on pipeline project. But they were two of the biggest things where I did not have my freedom that I was used to, plus money that it was burning a hole in your pocket, as the saying goes. So what sort of advice could you give someone that is in that situation, that's finding it difficult, that I finally got all this money and I've been chasing it my whole life and now I can't spend it. I don't know what to do with it. And if I do go to spend it, I've got 7 days at home that I've got to blow it all. So how would you help me in that situation?
Yeah, so that's more of an adjustment issue than it is not being able to spend money. It's a whole lot of changes in a short amount of time where it would probably be causing a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of restlessness, things like that. So we would just talk about ways that you could spend your time when you're not working. So instead of, say drinking after work every day, you should be doing something more productive, like working out, maybe doing some reading, calling home, things like that. Just filling your time. We would talk about filling your time with more productive, healthy things. Okay. Just to kind of get over that through the adjustment period, because that's really what it is. Anytime you're going through any sort of adjusting and things are changing and different, it is going to cause some anxiety. So we would talk about things like that and just brainstorm and problem solve what would be fitting for you in that, specifically in that situation. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if I was fine, like the money side was one thing that I couldn't spend it, but I always had big ambitions, big drive, and to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve in my life, I needed money to do it, you know, and I need money to achieve the big goals.
So
that
we
I had.
would probably talk about why it would be important, why you would be feeling that need to spend the money.
Okay.
You know.
And would you get down into here's some ideas to help take your mind off that or redirect your thoughts into, you know, what do you want to do with that money?
Yeah.
Would you like to spend it? Start putting some notes down and things like that? Is that something that you would...
Yes, instead of sitting around thinking about all the things, I could be at home doing this, or I could be out spending money on this and having fun, we would, again, talk about more productive ways, you know, budgeting, planning, things like that. And so you're in a healthier mindset at that point.
See, that was one of the things that that was always the yin and yang that always goes on within my head, where I finally got to where and I worked damn hard to get there, and then I got there, I got the money, but then I didn't have the freedom to spend it. So it was this constant fighting. When I was on the pipeline project, earning the money, I wanted to be back home. Yeah. When I was back home, all I wanted to do was go and earn more money.
Yeah,
like this was always what my younger days was battling with, was, you know, the drive and ambition followed by, well, I want to spend that. I've got to have some fun with it. I'm still young.
Yeah, that is we call it an errant thinking.
Okay.
There's no real need to go and spend all the money. You just
absolutely worked
hard to earn. So yeah, we would talk about healthier choices, why you're feeling the need to go and blow all that money. Yeah. You know, discuss the benefits of being on the job and not having time to spend your money, because obviously it's going to be more beneficial down the road to save.
Oh, absolutely.
Going and spending it also.
On that, I've got some really good stories, but I certainly blew a lot of money when I was young.
Yeah. So it almost sounds like you went down a rabbit hole of negative thoughts. You were thinking of all of the negatives of the situation, when really it was a positive and it was a move forward in your career, and it was going to benefit you long term, where you were just all caught up in the negatives, which is just a slippery slope. So in that case, we would just talk about how to redirect those thoughts. Okay.
And then getting into the other side of it, you're going from somewhere where, I suppose it's like starting the apprenticeship the first time, like going into high school for the first time and all that, where you've got all these new people, but it's kind of like that, but on steroids, really, because you're a 20-year-old young punk who thinks you know everything, and then you're going out to the big bad world with some big bad people, and I mean some seriously hardcore pipeliners. I mean, in those days, you fit in or you F off. It was as simple as that. And if they liked you, they'd take you under their wing, and if they didn't, you were extradited, and that's just how it worked in those days. So that was a struggle for me, because I was a real introvert in those days, because I was constantly learning, and I was always watching, and I've always been a people watcher, but I was always watching people. So being quieter, because you didn't know, it was all new. Yeah, I knew how to fix equipment, no problem at all, but pipelining was all new, and there was no training program, there was nothing to prepare you for what happened. So how would you deal with that in that situation? If someone is finding that, you know, I've just been dropped into the big pool, or I've just been thrown into the deep end here.
So it would depend on how you were feeling. Like, were you feeling anxious? Were you feeling maybe a little depressed? Maybe.
Definitely not depressed. No, it was a coping mechanism with people that were they were hard people. You're coming from an environment where you've built a rapport with people over the last 3 years, where I was with my apprenticeship. So now it's like, well, how do I fit in with these people? You know, so. More, I suppose it was a feeling of anxiety of trying to fit in with those people, because I wanted to perform. I wanted to do my job well, and I wanted to make people proud that they had hired me or taken the time to put me into that position.
Yeah, so we would just kind of dive into that. So, you know, maybe you were having thoughts of, oh, I might not be good enough to do this. What
Yeah.
if I,
Yeah.
things like that. And generally 9 times out of 10 in new situations, the way you're feeling, it's not as bad as, it's never as bad as what you think it is in your head. So we would, just talk about ways to calm the thinking down a little bit, just slow down, maybe some deep breathing, maybe some, every time you have one of those negative thoughts, you would replace it with something more positive, like, even if maybe it's not even positive, maybe it's just neutral. Well, let's just see how it goes before I jump to a conclusion that this is automatically going to go bad.
Okay, yeah. And that's probably more so what it was. It wasn't it was just an anxiety, I'm assuming is what it would be. But looking back at it now, absolutely, it was a walk in the park. You know, some of the meetings that I walk into now and some of the people that I meet now is, 10 times more devastating, and I'm mature as a cucumber than that stuff now. So it's about, for me, I know myself looking back now, that it was just, you were just building who you are. It was the steps. And I think to have someone that you can reach out to on that as well, and I must add here, this is pre-mobile phone days. There was mobile phones around, but I certainly didn't have one. You were still writing letters back home. That was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, like going and waiting to get a letter from, mum at the time, getting a letter from them or a loved one or something like that. That was always really cool to see. So now we live in the society of here and now, and I think that's where it's that instant gratification poses more problems, or could pose more problems, I suppose. Whereas with mine, it was something always to look forward to. That, if I write a letter out, I know I'm going to get one back. And when's that going to happen? Is the mail going to be slow? Is it going to come? Whatever. So
it's good and bad. It's not. I mean, having access to technology isn't a bad thing.
No.
You know what I mean? It could help people leaving home for the first time, because they do get to be in touch more often and things like that. So
definitely.
That's why I think people are in much better positions now. They can take advantage of that technology.
Yeah.
To help them through when you're out on jobs for long periods of time. Yeah, you're always in touch with people. So you should try to stay in touch with people. That's helpful.
Okay, but that's also to a distraction. We couldn't pop down to the news agency to go and get the new magazine about all the cool cars or whatever you wanted to buy.
It's a distraction with everything, though. I mean, it's a distraction driving. It's a distraction. I mean, it's just the world we live in now. So.
Yeah. But that's where it's different from the troubles that I had in those. It was, I suppose, it's more pure in a way, because they are the only problems that I had. I didn't have problems where someone was calling me names on the internet or something like that,
Too, you get, I'm sure people, guys out on jobs for long periods of time, they would be seeing everybody back home. I mean, I even know personally, when I'm away from home and I see all my family together in one place, I'm bummed out because I'm not there with them. So, that could be causing some, that would probably cause a little
exactly right.
sadness.
I never had to deal with that. Like, it was
fear of missing out.
Yeah, it was. You might read it in a letter, but that was something that happened 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. You know, so okay. But they were two of the biggest ones that I had when I initially started. Was fish out of water.
Yeah.
Finally got what I wanted money wise, or what I thought that I deserved, and it was just literally burning a hole in my pocket, and I didn't know what to do with it. So. It was always an internal conflict with myself.
Those feelings are normal. The important part is to not let them draw out and to where you eventually talk yourself out of wanting to be there. Yeah. And you decide, I'll just go back home because it'll be easier. If you just stick with it and learn some coping techniques and things like that, you can definitely power through.
Yeah.
Those
and
things.
it's keeping the focus. That's what I found as I developed my career and as I moved on in life, because we all learn as we get older. But I developed that knowledge of, hey, it's all been a learn. Everything that you've done in the past has taught you to this point where you are right now, where you can now look back and say, that's why I did that. That's why that happened. That's why I made that decision. But at the time, you never know that. So from experience, if I had someone like Lindsay to help with that in those early days, I would have been a lot further quicker in my production, because if I could focus my energy and thoughts, I know the type of person that I am now, if I could have focused those earlier, that would have just accelerated me sooner, you know. And that's kind of like what I help Lindsay with nowadays with her career, and helping her that, hey, I've made these mistakes over this amount of time, and you can do what you like here, but I'm just giving you a little bit of a heads up that this might not work out the way you think it's going to work out. But
it's always good to have a little bit of well, in my case, having your expertise is more than beneficial, but you know, the advantages of technology are that you can get further ahead quicker now, you know.
Definitely.
So, and that's kind of my goal and how I want to help people. If you can get ahead of a problem quickly, early, then you're going to be way better off.
Definitely. It's just about, okay, if I would have had that help, or that help been available to me back then, you could just give yourself that little kick in the pants that you need to get over yourself sometimes, and get the help that you need to stay focused and stay on track, you know. And it's one of those things, the construction industry, especially the remote construction industry, what I'm used to, it's exceptional money most of the time, you know. It's pretty good money, so it's what you do with that wisely.
I mean,
and that changes into that mental health all the time. Like, if you can see where it's going, and you've got that goal at the end.
Anytime you're working towards something and you're seeing yourself achieve those things, you're gonna gain confidence. You're gonna feel good about yourself, and that's automatically just gonna have a benefit to your mental health in general. You know, some problems are deeper than that. You know, it's not always that simple, but a lot of times it is something that just some small adjustments you can make, and that can make a big difference overall. So
okay. All right, guys, look, just a little short one this week, and I really hope that's helped you with maybe you're feeling the same, maybe you've got some anxiety issues, maybe you have got a project that you're about to go to for the first time. Whatever that case may be, it might be a 1 hour online one-on-one with Lindsay, just to get a little bit of a heads up and a little bit of a kickstart to help you succeed with your goals and where it is that you want to go with your construction career. So, you know, replacing those negative thoughts, getting some focus, getting some structure into your workplace, and taking it from there, you know, healthy habits and healthy projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks very much, Lindsay. Thanks for your help. Great for shedding some light on it, I suppose. And I'll keep sharing some of my personal experiences. I've got no shame in that. I've had a really good life, I reckon. So I'll keep sharing those from time to time, and popping Lindsay. I always like these little quiz, you know, little pop quiz, whatever you like to call it, where Lindsay doesn't know what I'm going to talk about, because I really want you guys to understand that it's not scary. It's simple. It's not difficult, but it's just about getting that right support and that right help to get you that first step or that second step, and if you're stepping off the road, to get you back onto the right path.
It'll be a little bit more in depth than what I just did here, but that's kind of the gist of it. It's nothing too intense or too overwhelming. You know, it's pretty.
And it's nothing too involved either. It's just.
Depends what you need, really.
Exactly, and it always comes back to what you need, but it's also too, it's not this is just giving you the tools to help cope better and keep a healthy
just
mindset.
Helping you understand yourself a little bit better, be a little bit more prepared for the situations you're going to be in, and how to handle those. So
okay, excellent. All right, guys, look, if you've got any problems at all, if you've got a question that you want to ask Lindsay, by all means, just reach out on any of our social media and leave a comment, leave a direct message, whatever the case may be. LinkedIn's a really good spot, and Instagram as well. Yeah, so any of those platforms, reach out. OryxCare, Oryx Consulting. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you click the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get notifications on all of our new uploads that we do on these Oryx Talks, and any of our videos from the construction industry as well. So thanks very much, guys. Thanks for listening. Much love from Lindsay and I, and hope you have a wonderful, productive construction week.